Maybe you're making a small student project or simply can't afford to pay a professional graphic designer. It's still worth making your own poster for your film, and I want to show you how you can do that. My name is Rowen Henderson, and I've just finished filming my short film called Marana, and I made this poster for it. Here's how you can do something similar. Before we start, it's worth mentioning there are a few different types of film posters. There's your pretty traditional one, with a blown up photo of one of your key scenes looking all pretty. You slap on your titles, bada bing, bada boom, and you're done. This is the sort of thing that we'll be doing. But it's also worth mentioning that there are also abstract posters or graphical posters which don't necessarily feature photos at all. Or there are these collage style posters, where you have everybody's faces all up in your business. Think Star Wars. It's up to you what kind of poster you make, but keep in mind why you're making your poster and who you're making it for. Before you start making your poster, you should also know what the tone and genre of your film is, as well as who your audience is. Marana is a gritty crime thriller, and so this is going to affect everything from the typography we choose, the effects like desaturating the photo, what photo we're going to use even. If it were, for example, a coming of age film, we wouldn't have it be so dramatic and cold looking. We'd probably use some warmer colours and have our actors be all happy and smiley. It's worth pulling together some reference photos of posters that are similar to what you want to make. The first thing to keep in mind is that you're probably going to need a photo for this poster. This is something to keep in mind when you're filming. If you have the time while shooting and you're using a DSLR, it's worth switching to the camera mode and getting some nice high quality photos. I did this a couple times while filming. Just before a take usually, I would explain I was taking a photo for promotional materials, and then I would get the actors to basically pull a freeze frame of them looking badass. If you haven't done this, don't worry. Hopefully you can export a frame from your film that will be usable. Just be careful with the resolution because it needs to be pretty high. So now you want to put your photos into your software of choice. I'm using Affinity Designer, which is pretty budget friendly, and I've loved it so far, but there are free alternatives where the same principles will apply, like Paint.net, and I've heard GIMP is quite good also. You want to make sure you've scaled your photo properly and it's got some space around it for your text. Keep in mind, composition applies to your posters too. Things like rule of thirds, or in this case symmetry, will make it look better. If you haven't already, you're probably going to want to apply some filters and effects onto your photo. This photo has already had its colors desaturated and tinted towards a sort of greeny color, which is something which is prominent throughout the film and works to convey the tone pretty well too. Again, if this were a happy coming of age film, we'd probably be on the complete opposite end of the spectrum here and would probably push the warm, saturated colors. One thing that worked quite nicely to draw attention to my focal point here was creating a radial gradient and then swapping it to a soft light blend mode. This lightens up my subjects and darkens my background. Next, you need to add your text. To do this, you're going to need to find a font which fits the tone of your film. I suggest having a look at Google Fonts, as they have a load of fonts there you can use for free. There are some other websites where you can find fonts, such as DaFont or WildType. I've linked these below, but make sure your font is under Creative Commons so you can use it for free. For the title, you're going to want something easily readable. I ended up choosing a font called Oswald, which also comes with different thicknesses, which comes in useful when writing all the other information. You're probably going to want to put your title somewhere towards the bottom. This seems to just be something which all film posters do. It's pretty interesting. It's almost like the image in this case is more important and comes first. A few other things I've done to make my title a little bit more readable is the addition of a drop shadow. Again, this is your call. Here I'm just increasing the spacing between the letters, which is a totally stylistic choice. Now you're going to add in your tagline. These usually go at the top. You want to think of something catchy and something that hopefully suggests what your film is going to be about. I've gone for investigating her own reality, showing that there's a mystery being investigated and that it has something to do with our protagonist, setting up both the genre, the protagonist, and that there's a mystery. Finally, we need to add our credits. These are usually very small and go at the bottom of your poster. You can use the SF movie poster font for this. Here you put the companies who produced the film, your big name actors, your crew such as casting, costumes, editor, production design, director of photography, writer, a shout out to your film teacher, and finally the director, who always goes last. Voila! But why would I suggest that you put effort into making posters even for small projects such as these? Well, I decided to make this after seeing the FilmLooks video, link in description, about how they create and print out a poster for every film that they make so that they can physically see their progression as a filmmaker. I think this is a fantastic idea which more of us should adopt. And that's not to mention how useful it is for marketing, your social medias, your portfolio, and even something to give your actors as a thank you for putting up with you. My name is Rowen Henderson, and if you dig this stuff, please support us, it's really appreciated. That was how to make your own film poster. Make sure you get a full night's sleep, and I'll catch you later.